So, wanted to give you a little bit of a preview of what we're going to be doing in the next set of tutorials. What we'll do is we're going to transform our guy that we made in this video, our generic dude, into this Veronese Hercules. So let's go ahead and pick up where we left off. So here we are, we learned some new modeling tools. And so we kind of blocked out some basic feet and some calves. So let's go ahead and merge these. So I'm going to select my male anatomy model up top, and I'm going to go down to my modifiers, add modifier Boolean here. Let's go ahead and select our calves. Looks good. Now I'm going to go ahead and hide my cylinder from here and make sure that union is on here so I could see the way that they're going to merge. And I'm going to go ahead and hit apply. I'm going to hit tab and we'll go down to sculpt mode. Let's bring our brush down a little bit, pressing F on that. And what I want to do is, before I get into the sculpting part, is I just want to clean this area up around the knees. So let's go into Dine Topo. Look at that, I said it right that time. And then let's just go ahead, and it looks pretty good. With constant detail on and subdivision collapse, what you'll notice is it automatically added detail of what it thinks it should look like across the surface. So it can get it to work kind of right. So I'm going to hit C to grab my clay brush and just kind of bringing all of this stuff down. So wrapping the knee, adding a little bit here. As you probably guessed already, I love to use my, let's go ahead and merge these two windows for a second, just to give ourselves some space while I'm going to right click, join axis, and I'm just going to join it to that side. And that way I have this window. And let's just hide the background for a second. And let me finish my incomplete thought here. You probably guessed my favorite brush is the brush detail here. And what I like to do in here is just go in and start to sculpt that detail that I like based on the scale of the brush. So I go between that, and you'll see if we increase the brush here, you can see I'm going in there, and if I decrease it, gives me a little more detail that way. And then it's based on also on the brush size. See that? How it packed in more down there. So I really like this feature. So I kind of play with this around 35–40%. Just that way I can do my big broad strokes and it's not so bad. And like this. All right, so let's shift C that. Now if you need to see it while you're sculpting, just as a reminder, you can go to your display properties here, viewport display, and turn on wireframe. And as you're sculpting, make sure you have to have this on as well, though. And then you'd have to hide our reference here. Not that reference, this reference. There we go. And you can see it on top like that. All right, so what I'm going to do, just going to bring this up into the knee. So let's make sure this is selected. Bringing this down here a little bit, smoothing all this out. Just marking in where my knee is. Bringing this down like that. Blocking out the top of the foot. Now I do have some foot reference open for you to see. So what we're going to do is this. Let's look at the foot first. We're not going to be modeling every toe right now because we're going to be doing that in the next set of videos. But let's take a look. So a couple of things I want you to notice is the inside ankle sits higher at an angle than the outside ankle. So let's just go ahead and draw in that triangle for that. So what I generally do is, and it sits in the highest point above the where the calf and the foot connect. So I draw a triangle like this, and I fill that in. Let's kind of go a little bit higher in my tine top. It looks like it's not giving me what I need. Yeah, it's a little bit better. So I'm going to smooth that out, draw in that ankle, carve that in a little bit this way. And I'm just going to fill it in because the highest point it is in the middle. So you can see that there. Then I'm going to go down at this ankle here, and I'm going to just draw the triangle. And this angle sits, if we're going to look at it kind of like this, right? We're drawing in our triangle. It sits just below where the top of the foot is meets. So there's your curvature like that. And let's go ahead and smooth and carve this out like that. I'm going to go ahead and hit F, scale this up, and then just smooth out the back of the foot like this. Hit C, and I'm going to carve in the tendons in the back of the leg. So remember, we are half working from anatomy reference here, as well as the we haven't really started working on a character yet. So we have something that looks like this. We're seeing our foot come together. Let's go ahead and add some meat on the top of the foot like that. This should always show like a little bit of a, you're going to see a little bit of a shape distance between where the foot meets the bottom here. I'm going to grab my grab tool, and I'm just going to create that inner bend in the foot. So just kind of at the very center of the foot, you're going to pull that in like this. And then you're going to pull this out just a little bit like that. Now the foot, because we're putting pressure down on the floor, it starts to flatten and widen, and that's the whole point behind this box on the bottom. So let's shape that out as well. So we're going to pull this out here, and then simply all we're going to do is grab our clay brush and fan the top of the foot out like this. And then we're just going to hit it with the smooth tool a little bit like that. Just something like this. And then I'm going to fill in the padding on the bottom of the front like that, and where the heel is. And smooth that out a little bit and start to round out that heel. Almost done. Bring this up just a little bit. And then let's just really kind of carve in there. There we go. Nothing too crazy. Like I said, we're going to do a lot of, especially with that Fernese Hercules that I showed you a bit ago, we're going to be doing a lot of really nice sculpting of the toes. So I just kind of like, not just, remember this is our generic person who we're just using as a base. All right, so we've got that going on. Now another thing is I don't like how in my anatomy reference the knees sit so low. Really they should be about halfway on a generic model like this. So I'm just going to bring this up and hit G. Just pull all this up so that it's, I'm eyeballing it at this point because in my reference my knees are going to look too high. I'm going to pull this whole area up so it looks like it's in the center. More of a heroic model because that's what we're doing next. I'm also going to pull this out a little bit. Now the problem is you're probably wondering like, why did the thighs get so small? Well, the reason is I made a mistake and I started using the model without a butt. So if you're following along, you're probably okay. I have multiple versions saved, so a little bit of a snafu on my part. So drawing in that shin, blocking out the bottom, and that's part of the knee. I'm just going to bring these back in on the side here, just so we don't lose those guys. And then for the calf, what I normally do, if you remember from the last video and kind of got lost with this, is I draw a triangle back here, smooth that out, carve that in. Come on, carve. There we go. And then a little bit of meat up here, and then we're almost done. Because all we're going to do for here is we're going to branch this out into two chunks like that. We're going to connect it like this. And then that dividing point is where our calves are going to be. So we just fill in the one side of the calf here into here, creating, I like to talk about the teardrop shape, right? There's a lot of teardrop shapes in the human body. And this calf is actually what we see from the front that wraps around like this. So let's really bring this out. I'm going to hit G, bring this out too from back here. So like if we look at it from the front, that's what we're actually seeing. something like this. And then I'm just going to do what I always do. Bring out my draw brush and just throw in some lines so that we can, something like that, smooth that out. And group my clay build up and then build off that line. And then my grab brush, and then just pull all that stuff back like this. So this is a very good, very nice sort of generic foot. Let me straighten this out a little bit. And those are calves. And from this, we have enough of a base model to start to think about what we're going to do next, which is the Fernie's sculpture. In the next video, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and block out the face of the, like we'll create a generic face with ears and the nose and the mouth and all that good stuff.